What's up, NBC Chicago? It's Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. So I didn't know, I was invited to be a part of the show first. I didn't know it was going to be a four-way. I was actually in the parking lot of PWG. No, not PWG. I was in the park. It was an indie show in California, and I was with the Bucks and Cody. And I had already expressed my interest. At that point, every indie wrestler ever had expressed their interest in wanting to be a part of All In because it was the coolest thing ever. It was somewhat like indie wrestling was going to actually do an arena show. Right. That's unheard of. Right. Nobody thought it was going to happen. And then once we saw oh shit, this is going to happen, I wanted to be a part of that. And that's kind of when they were the Bucks were like, Britt, you're all in. That's it. And it was like, okay, cool. And then we got the info slowly about who else was going to be in it. And we kind of guessed because it would be oh, she's all in. And then there was four of us, and then it was a four-way. And that was one of the most special nights of my life because it really changed my career forever. I hope. I mean, you always hope. You always hope that you're part of a spark for something. But I would have never guessed in a million years that there was a billionaire sitting in the crowd that was also a massive wrestling fan and had all these ties to mainstream TV and entertainment and was going to make a company and ask me to be his first female side. No, that wasn't in my bingo card. It was just as special in its own way because it was the first of the first. And again, it was making history, and you only get one chance to make a first impression. So there was a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. And we were still in the unknown waters. We didn't know where this was going to go. We didn't have a TV deal yet, or if we did, we didn't know about it. Talent didn't know about it. And we kind of really were just no pun intended, all in on this thing called All Elite Wrestling. Hey, I hope this works out because we're giving our all to this. That I don't know that can ever be topped, just because it was such a wow. We did this moment. And the people that were part of the first All In, I think we'll always have a special bond. The ones that also were able to wrestle at Wembley, because to think that we did this, we helped create this mega monster where we just sold over 85,000 tickets or whatever the number was in Wembley. That's right. Insane. That's unheard of. And if you would have told me that at the first All In, I would have laughed and said you're nuts, you're crazy. But it was very pivotal, and I think no matter what, that's always going to be a top moment. And I didn't win. I didn't lose either. But I think that's one of my favorite moments of my career. Yeah, so Chicago is a huge wrestling town, and you learn that very quickly when you get to cross over to come to the Indies, to come to the Chicago territory. They are maybe the most rowdy fans in America, and I think it's when you get to those areas where the fans are that passionate, where they love who they love, they hate who they hate. That's what's fun. That's what makes the shows fun. We want everyone to be having a good time, and it crosses over into the television wrestling too. Chicago is incredible, and I think the fact that we keep coming back so often speaks for that. We keep giving Chicago more and more because they give us more. I do. I like I said this earlier. I like the pizza, but I'm one and done. One slice and then that's enough. I love going to Navy Pier and walking around. I don't really have a memory that's that's the moment, but I love anytime we have a day off just walking up and down there. It was actually when I started dental school, which was 2014. Yeah, 2014 is when I started training to also be a professional wrestler, and I was already accepted into dental school. I started training to be a wrestler just out of curiosity. Curiosity killed the cat, and I was not going to let it kill my dental career, and I just decided I was going to keep training and keep going to school and hope and pray that it worked out, and that's what happened. I kind of just took it day by day, one step at a time. You never have to worry about what's beyond yonder and infinity and beyond. Just the next step. That's all you have to take. Yeah. So I'm not full time anymore. It's impossible with a wrestling schedule. We have three TV days and pay-per-view loops and media days. It's not realistic. It's not fair to patients for me to have to be canceling and moving around. And I want to be available to Tony Khan at all times, which I am, but also it's a weird territory with fans coming into the dental office. Something you can't prepare. They didn't teach me that in dental school, right, how to deal with fans coming into my office. So we've had some weird situations. My staff, they're great with handling it. They really are, but it's you have to pick and choose those battles. So I actually don't take any new patients. That's all my old patients that I know are tried and true dental patients and not crazy fans in disguise. So I'd broken my nose during right at the start of the pandemic, and I got a little buzz from that just because I did the match with Sheeta where I broke my nose, and there was a camera shot of me just laughing with the blood in my mouth. Right. And I think that grabbed people's attention. And then I was really heating up. I just turned heel. Stuff was finally clicking. I was like, I think I can do this heel thing. I was supposed to have a pay-per-view match, my first pay-per-view match as a heel, and the week of the show, I don't know, 3 days before, I break my leg. And they're like, obviously, I'm not in the pay-per-view. And I was so upset. I was in the trainer's room, so upset. I was holding back tears. And Chris Jericho walks in, and he's like, what's wrong with you? And I said, oh, I broke my leg. I'm so upset. And he's like, well, why? And I'm like, what do you mean why? I feel like this is my time, and now I have to be in a wheelchair. I broke my leg. And he says, no, it's still your time. Now it's just your time with a mic, so learn how to use it. And that was the best advice anybody ever gave me, because then I had to learn how to be good at promos, and I had to do it quick. And that's what I did, because I knew if I was given a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes TV time, I had to eat it up and hit a home run every time, because the second people get bored of you, especially when you can't do anything physical in the ring, that's it. You're done. They're on to the next thing already. So that was really challenging to keep it interesting, but not being able to physically do anything. So I think there's AEW right now. There's a new vibe, a new era to it, and it's just kind of figuring out when and how I fit into that and taking over the women's division all over again. It takes patience. It all comes down to really having a passion for something. If it's something you think you might want to do and you're going to half-ass it, it's not going to work out, because you're going to give up. The second something gets hard, you're like, I don't really want it that bad. And that's just you being honest with yourself, and that's okay, and that's fine. But if it's something you're really, really passionate about, you just find ways to make it happen. And it's what we said earlier, it's just taking that next step. When I was in dental school, I would have all my classmates were studying for boards. Boards were 3 months away. I am not looking at 3 months away. I'm looking at tomorrow when I have a quiz, an exam, wrestling training, going to the gym, and watching Raw. That's my next step. Let's get through tomorrow. We'll worry about boards as it comes closer. And I think that's such an important thing, that don't look too far in advance. It's great to have goals. Don't obsess with them, because that's too daunting. You really need to just focus on the now, what you can control, and the next step. So Dynamite will be here Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve, Wintrust Arena we're in Central Time, so 7 p.m. Central. You can watch it on TBS. Even better, you can buy a ticket and go to the show. Are you going to the show?
Sure will.
There we go.